So this woman connived with their family pastor to kill her husband in order to prevent him from discovering a very dirty secret that would not only bring shame to her, but would also destroy their marriage. It all began when Mrs. Enobong Victor Isonguyu informed her husband, Engineer Victor Gabriel Isonguyu, that she was pregnant. Now, this was the kind of news that would throw a lot of couples into a mood of celebration, but this was not the case with Mr. Victor. Mr. Victor Isonguyu was the deputy manager in the engineering department of Nigeria Petroleum Development Company, NPDC, Benin, Edo State, Nigeria. The couple had been married for about 18 years and had 3 children between them, all of whom were said to be boys. From the look of things, it seems Mr. Victor was frequently away from home, probably for work reasons. As such, the news came as a huge surprise to him, and it didn't make any sense for his wife to become pregnant while he was away. This made Mr. Victor question the paternity of the unborn child, thereby accusing his wife of engaging in extramarital affairs. This accusation created a rift between the couple, and they lost the harmony that used to exist in their matrimonial home. Mr. Victor took his suspicion very seriously, so seriously that he reported the matter to his family as well as his in-laws. Mr. Victor insisted that he was not the father of the child his wife was currently pregnant with. The two families involved tried their best to resolve the issue, but there was really nothing much they could do at their end to convince Mr. Victor that there was no way his wife of 18 years would impose another man's pregnancy on him. The family then came to the conclusion that after Mrs. Enobong had given birth to the child, they would conduct a DNA test to confirm who the true father of the child was. This may have seemed like a perfect solution to the situation at hand, but unknown to them, their suggestion of a DNA test had awoken some darkness in Mrs. Enobong, and this darkness would kickstart a chain of events that would not only leave the entire family in a state of shock, but would also leave them with long-lasting pains. Some days after this meeting, Mr. Victor's dead body was found inside his private car along Sapele Road, Benin, and had been burnt beyond recognition. This horrific discovery was made on the 29th of November, 2013. The police were informed and they headed to the scene to carry out their preliminary investigations. The officers noticed that the deceased man had been stabbed in the chest before the fire. They were also able to establish the identity of the deceased to be Mr. Victor Isonguyu. The police took Mrs. Enobong into custody as they began their investigation into uncovering the circumstances surrounding the tragic death of her husband. During their investigation, the police found out that Mrs. Enobong had filed a missing persons report on behalf of her husband just a day before he was found inside his burnt car. They also discovered that she had allegedly gone to her husband's office to inform them that her husband was missing. Mrs. Enobong was said to have also gone to the bank to withdraw the sum of 4 million naira from their joint bank account. The police also discovered that Mr. Victor's official car was missing. They traced the missing car to a compound where they discovered that the original vehicle registration plate number had been taken off and then replaced with a fake one. They would also later establish that the name on the official car documents had been changed to an entirely different one. The police arrested a tenant in the compound for questioning. Upon interrogation, the tenant informed them that the discovered car was parked by a fellow tenant who was a pastor. The police then tracked and arrested Pastor Udoka Ukachukwu for questioning. At the station, Pastor Udoka told the police that the said car was given to him by one of his daughters in church as a seed. The detectives then ordered him to take them to the said daughter. To their greatest surprise, the church daughter in question was Mrs. Enobong Isonguyu. Before the police began their investigations, Mrs. Enobong was said to have denied any involvement in her husband's death. However, after the pastor was arrested, she would go on to disclose details that would earn her a death sentence. Mrs. Enobong began to explain to the police how the car ended up in the pastor's possession. She told the police that when she noticed her husband was missing, she took her husband's new car to the pastor to sow as a seed in his church so that her husband would be found. She claimed she told the pastor to take the car to the church and that she didn't know he went on to change the plate numbers as well as the name on the car documents. Mrs. Enobong claimed she had asked the pastor to pray harder because she loved her husband and didn't want anything bad to happen to him. I guess at this point, the family had told the police about her pregnancy and how the late husband had denied